Welcome to Math with Mrs. Seeley. This is an ACT math content video on composition of functions. This content is quite popular and shows up often on the ACT. In this video, you will see lots of different ways the ACT asks these questions and be shown all the difficulty levels, so you'll want to stick around to the end. Also, if you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as share it with a friend. Now, let's begin building your ACT score one problem at a time. All right, composition of functions look like this. Here's the strategy with a composition of functions. We first of all start with the one on the most inside, g of 1. Now you're probably familiar that g of 1 tells me to take the 1 and go to the g function. It tells you what value and what place. So go to the g function, and where there's an x, you're going to put in a 1. So I would say 1 squared plus 1 and get 2. Once you get that answer, you're going to take that answer and go put it into the f function. So now I go to the f function, and where there's an x, I'm going to put in the 2. So 2 plus 3 is 5, and my answer is B. All right, let's take a look at this one, number 28. On this particular composition of functions, once again, you're going to start on the inside and work your way out. So it's telling me which function to go to, and when I get there, what value I'm going to put in. So we're going to go to the g function, and we're going to put in a -3 where the x is. So -3 squared minus 2. And it's really important that you use your parentheses if you're doing this on the calculator, because -3 squared is not the same thing as -3 squared. So -3 squared is 9, take away 2 is 7, so I get 7. Then you're going to take that 7 and go put it into the f function. So now I go to the f function and put in that 7. So 3 times 7 plus 4 is going to be K, 25. All right, let's look at number 33. This one is telling me to take g of x and go put it into the f function. Well, g of x is a -2, so it's saying take a -2 and go put that into f. So I come over here, and where that x is, I'm going to put in a -2. So 5 to the -2nd power. Either you might know that the negative exponent sends that down to the denominator as 5 squared, or if you need to, you have your calculator. The only thing left is that this negative sign right here. That negative, we just need to bring it out front. You want to keep that face with that body. So bring your face with you. And the answer is C. Okay, let's take a look at number 42 here. And if you'd like to, why don't you pause the video, try it on your own, and then check to see if you got it correct. So once again, start on the inside and work your way out. This is telling me to go to the f function, and when I get there, what I'm going to put in. So I'm going to go to the f function, and everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in a -1. So -1, remember we said the parentheses is important if you're doing it on the calculator, times 5 times -1 plus 6. And when I do that right there, I'm going to get 12. So I have 12, and then it tells me to take 12 and go put that into the g function. So now I'll come over here to the g function, and everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in a 12. So I would go to my calculator and say 12 squared minus 7 times 12 minus 10. Just type it in very carefully, and you get K. All right, let's look at 25. Here is another way that ACT can ask this question. Instead of giving you formulas to plug into, they might give you charts to plug into, but you're still going to solve it in the same way. Start on the inside and work your way out. This is telling me to go to the f function, which would be this table, and put a 5 in for x. Well, here's x. So put that 5 in for x, and you get out a 3. So that's telling me to take the 3 and now go put it into the g function. Well, here's the g function. Put in that 3 for x, and you get -5, which is c. Up to this point, if you'll notice, we've been putting numbers in and getting numbers out. Well, on this next set of problems, it's telling us that we're going to put letters in right here. So it's saying to now take the g of x. You're taking this whole function, g of x, and you're going to put that into f. So take your whole square root of x plus 3 and come up here to your f function and put that in. So I'm going to say 2, but where x is, I'm going to put that entire, the square root of x plus 3. And so I get for my answer f, just like that. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Number 39. This one right here, we're going to start on the inside. It says f of 5x. So this is telling me to go to this function and put this in. So I'm going to go to my f function, and where that x is, I'm going to put in a 5x. So I'm going to have 2, but where that x is, I'm going to put in 5x minus 1. So that gives me 10x minus 1. Now that I have that answer, it tells me to go put that into the g function. So let's go to our g function, and where that x is, we're going to put in 10x minus 1. So 3, and then we're going to put in 10x minus 1 squared minus 7. On this situation right here, be really careful with your math, because you guys know that right here, this is telling me to take 10x minus 1 quantity squared. When you have a quantity squared, that means that you're going to write it twice. Squared means like a twin. You have 2 of them. So I'm going to bring this 3 down. I'm going to write 10x minus 1 times 10x minus 1 minus 7. All right, now let's bring this 3 down. We're not going to touch that, but we are going to distribute 10x times 10x is 100x squared. 10 times -1 is -10x. -1 times 10 is -10x. And -1 times 1 is +1. And subtract 7. Now it's asking us to distribute the 3 through. As soon as I do that, I get 3 times 100, which is 300x squared. Look at your answer choices up there. It could only be B answer. So therefore, just stop and don't even work anymore the problem. Just save your time for another one. All right, let's look at 43. On this one, once again, I'm going to take this g function right here and go put it into the f function. Letters in give us letters out. As in earlier, numbers in gave us numbers out. So take your entire g of x function and let's go put it where the x's are. So I will have x plus 1 squared plus 3 times x plus 1. Here's another twin. So x plus 1 squared means write it out twice. You have two of them. So x plus 1 times x plus 1. I might as well go ahead and distribute that. 3x plus 3. All right, right here we know that we're going to distribute. Some teachers call that FOIL, but x goes to everybody. Then the 1 says, okay, my turn. Now I'm going to distribute to everybody. And so I will have x times x, which is x squared. X times 1, which is 1x. 1 times x, which is 1x. 1 times 1 is 1. And then, of course, bring these terms down. Now, put your people together, put your friends together. So x squared, x plus 3x, when I put those like terms together, is 5x. If you want to, you could go look at your choices and see if that's enough to get an answer. And of course it is, so that could save you some time. And of course you could also finish 1 plus 3 is 4. All right, let's look at this last one. And you can see on this last one, it's number 53. So this is getting on up there into one of the more solid questions on the test, but still very doable. So you have g of x that you're going to go put into the f function. So I'm going to take that entire g of x and I'm going to put it into the f function. So I will have x squared, so x plus 3 squared minus 4. Again, I have two of them, which means I have a twin. So that's x plus 3, x plus 3. The ACT likes those. Now I'm going to distribute, or like I said, some teachers call it FOIL, but basically x goes to everybody. And then the 3 says, okay, now I'm going to go to everybody. So x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times 3 is 9. And then minus 4. Clean that up, put your like terms together. So you have x squared plus 6x plus 5. But notice this one was just a little bit different, which is why it was probably number 53. It says not only to just find that, but find that and set it equal to 0. So we will take what we found and we will set this equal to 0. Well, that's a situation that needs to be factored. What multiplies to get x squared is x and x. What multiplies to get 5 but adds to get 6 is 5 and 1. We need two plus signs. Set them equal to 0. So x plus 5 is equal to 0. X plus 1 equals 0. Subtract. You get negative 1 and negative 5, which is going to be answer A. If you'd like more help and practice with ACT Math Prep content, be sure to check out the other videos on my channel. Also, like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, and I'll see you next time.